Hey there, it's Rob Ryder once again on Sunday, March 22nd, 2020. And today, public adjuster, well, that would be the public state investigator. That's what it looks like if we're going to look at a few laws, and I'm hoping to convince a public adjuster or two that you can do much more than just chase a storm or a fire, right? That you're a frickin' public state investigator. You got all sorts of investigative powers. And what I need you to do for me and for the rest of America is for you to investigate attorneys' liability insurance policy, like general liability or malpractice or whatever they have, whatever. Find their liability insurance policy so that we can file a claim. Find the state's liability insurance policy so we can file a claim. Find the county's insurance policy so that we can file a claim, because none of these entities are really who they say they are. And I've shown this in many, many, many videos, and I'm going to show just a few tidbits, but, if you want to know what I need you for, I need you to go find their insurance policy. And I believe if you write, so I had a chance to talk to a couple of adjusters who called me this week based on the last video I did, which unfortunately most people thought I was trying to make them a public adjuster. I don't know anything about being a public adjuster. It wasn't a job offer, right? I was looking for one, and I'm still looking for one because I haven't signed a contract yet. But I want to sign a contract with a public adjuster and go try some things, and it'll all be based on the law. And if it would make you feel more comfortable, well, we can submit it to your state commissioner first to see what they say and put it all on them. Because I don't think, well, I'm sure of this, right? Most people who are public adjusters didn't serve in the military. I'm not saying there aren't some, but most didn't. And those that are, you'll understand immediately. The state commissioner is really just your commanding officer, right? So at the end of the day, if you're in that commanding officer's command and you go to the commanding officer with what it says in the book, which is what everything I would do is based on, then that commanding officer is going to have to agree with you and do it by the book. Until then, they could say they didn't know, because not everybody knows all the laws. We have ignorance. And it's a really strange world that we live in, that I think this is tied to the Washington, D.C. Act, this 1871, a D.C. Act 1871, where we went to some kind of corporate government. That's what happened, is we've gone to a corporate style of government where everything is now a thing. There aren't any persons. And it's so obvious when you go to court or anything else that they're not using your full legal name, right? Mine's Robert Allen Rutluski. It says in federal law, that's my full legal name, and that's what I should use in all legal matters. Well, they're not using mine. They're not using theirs. The judge isn't using his. The clerk isn't using hers. The attorney isn't using his. On and on and on and on and on. It's a court of fictions. It's not a court of persons, right? And in that court of fiction, then, all of these fictions have to have insurance of one kind or another. And if it's general liability insurance, that's a particular kind of insurance to cover torts, right? Which are wrongs. T-O-R-T, torts, they're wrongs. And under general liability insurance, the level of proof you need for a tort is just that it happened. It doesn't matter if there was any intent. If the facts show that somebody committed a tort against you, it's an occurrence under general liability insurance, and that occurrence has an amount it can be paid from zero to whatever the insurance will pay. Well, it could pay more than that, but that's what the insurance will pay. Well, as it turns out, in these general liability policies, they also have a terrorism clause. And so I showed all this in my last videos, and we'll get into. I can't get into all those details again, but there's all sorts of things that public adjusters are not doing that they could do instead of chasing a freaking storm. Right? Most of this stuff would be staying at home, looking at public records, filing claims for people. Because we all have the same thing where we've been charged for something. I can't say all, but if you've lost your house in a foreclosure or if you own a house, taxes, all of these things are all done by a simulated legal process under color of law, which to a person like you or me is a violation of our civil rights and civil liberties. And they can't do that. And that kind of shit is covered under their general liability insurance policy. And so let's get on with it. The other thing I want to talk about a bit then is just many of the other things that happened this week that I really don't have any place to stick them, so I'm going to put them in this video, that either have something to do with trying to get a claim settled or have nothing at all to do with the insurance. So anyways, I got too much on my mind right now. I got to download a little bit. Okay, hey, so if you are an adjuster and you want to talk to me, my email address is robryder, courtofrecord@aol.com, right? No S's, courtofrecord@aol.com. My phone number, 616-712-6179. Don't put anything in the comments and expect me to read it, because I don't read comments. And, there's too many things to have to read already, right? You can either email me at Court of Record, call me. If you want to donate, which I'm not asking you to, but if you will, please do. And it's you can send it by mail to Robert Allen Rutluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, 49341. PayPal is robryder@aol.com. Now, of course, I wouldn't need this if I could get a public adjuster to write a contract, get a claim settled. Well, then it'll all take care of itself. And that's where we're headed with this. So give me just 1 second. Okay, hope you have time today. Well, you should, because you can't go anywhere. It's coronavirus. You're all locked in. You might as well watch my videos. I'm going to probably talk for quite some time, and you're going to learn things you didn't know before. Here's some of the videos I had done recently. In fact, the most recent one was Wanted Public Adjusters. And that's when people are writing me, say, hey, I want to be a public adjuster. Well, if you want to be a public adjuster, what you need to do is Google your state public adjuster license and see what comes up. Here in Michigan, you simply have to take a test, 100-question test. If you pass it, you're a public adjuster. Now, how do you do that exactly? Well, I don't know yet. The other thing is a public adjuster is also known as an adjuster for the public, which is the only other type of adjuster then there is an adjuster for the insurance company. Right? So you got two kinds of adjusters, one that works for the insurance company and one that works for the insured. I say adjuster for the insured, not adjuster for the public. Adjuster for the insured. That's what a public adjuster is, an adjuster for the insured. Well, under general liability insurance, you are an insured because they have that insurance, like the state does, in case they harm you. Because in the state's policy, or in any general liability policy, it has things like false arrest, imprisonment, malicious prosecution, libel, slander, eviction, wrongful eviction, those are all things only the state could do to you, right? So they have insurance, liability insurance, to cover you. You are an additional insured on their policy, and they don't like to hear that from the conversations I had this last week or so. But as you can see, that's not all I do videos on. I got video, lot, right, that go on about all these different things that are going on in the world. So if you're an adjuster who didn't know these things and you hear me talk and think I'm a crazy man, well, I may be. But, I researched it out at one point and I've done a video on it. So I just can't, you can't do everything over and over and over again. Have to move on. But starting here at reading the back of the can was at some time ago, I had gotten an EIN for my name. In fact, hang on. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I did a video called EIN and SSN, Social Security number, in your name. And in that video, I was showing that I had contacted the IRS using the IRS website, although unfortunately in the video, I'm showing this form that has nothing to do with the IRS website. Don't use that. Just go right to the IRS website. And I had gotten an EIN number, right, 82-3654127, for my business, Robert Allen Rutluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, 49341. As a sole proprietor. Right? I didn't do it as a corporation or an S corp or a trust, or no, I just did it as a sole proprietor. So no, that's the name of my business. And they gave me an EIN number, which is proves that that is my business, right? So now this is like my physical address of my business. This right here. That's what the because I had called back and asked I said, well, how come this doesn't have a mailing address on here with a +4? At the time, I was doing stuff with the post office, so I was really up on all the post office stuff. And they said, well, that's a physical address. So if you want to know, this right here, this whole thing then with the name is the physical address of my business. So, and that's my EIN number. So, I haven't really done with anything with it since then except to get a bank account. And I had thought about getting insurance at one time, like business insurance, and I was looking into it. It was pretty expensive, and I said, no, I don't want to do that stuff. I never have any money, so I'm not going to be able to make the payments and, on and on. But here recently, for whatever reason, I thought about it again, and I said, well, I never really checked into it too deeply, so I went and looked at general liability insurance just by Googling it online and found this site here, Thimble, that said, how you get a quote. Well, you click on the button and you pick one of these things. And I went through them all. I did it in the video before, and I'm not going to do it again. But under this one, janitor is housekeeper. And 3. What am I doing? 49341 49344. And then you had to put in your zip code. Yes, we cover Michigan. Well, outstanding. Tell me something. And look at that. For $27 a month, I could have liability insurance, general liability insurance. But I really didn't know what that meant yet. I just knew I could do it. And it's like, well, hey, view policy. That's what I should probably do, right? And you could have additional insureds and people that work for you, your crew members, and so forth. But just to show you, so I said, well, let me go look up the definition of housekeeper. One who occupies a house with his family, a man or woman who maintains a family, a man or woman who maintains a family estate in a house, a householder, the master or mistress of a family. I said, yeah, I can be a housekeeper without a problem. I could swear to that. Right? And that's what I'm looking for. The things that I just want to use whatever they said and say, okay, well, I agree with you. Right? I'm trying to agree with them, basically. Well, I didn't have an opportunity to do it, but another guy did. He actually went out and bought that exact policy. And let me see. Email me, Joe. So after he had told me that, and I had been studying this stuff for a bit, I had emailed him and said I was reading the Michigan Vehicle Code to see if liability insurance can be used as auto insurance. And what I see is that if you gave the Secretary of State in Michigan a certificate of insurance that listed the vehicle serial number description, that might satisfy the code. And so this is what it actually says in the law, right? This is in the Michigan Vehicle Code, where it doesn't talk about auto insurance. It calls it motor vehicle liability policy. Proof of financial responsibility may be furnished by filing with the Secretary of State a written certificate of any insurance carrier duly authorized to do business in the state, certifying that there is, in effect, a motor vehicle liability policy for the benefit of the person required to furnish proof of financial responsibility. Such certificate shall give the effective date of such motor vehicle liability policy, which date shall have the same as the effective date of the certificate, and shall designate by explicit description or appropriate reference all motor vehicles covered thereby, unless the policy is issued to a person who is not owner of the vehicle. No motor vehicle shall be or continue to be registered in the name of any person required to file proof of financial responsibility unless such motor vehicle is so designated in such a certificate. So in other words, if you got one of these certificates of insurance, which is like an additional insured, right? You fill out that's what a certificate is. It lists who the additional insured are on a policy, and put in, the right information and gave it to the Secretary of State, would they accept that as being the financial responsibility that you have to cover what we all believe to be auto insurance. Because most of the shit on auto insurance you don't really need to be able to drive. But you do need to have motor vehicle liability insurance. Well, motor vehicle is a style of liability insurance, and it would therefore be covered under general liability insurance, which just covers everything that's a liability. It's general liability insurance. Now, when you read the policy, you would say, well, it doesn't say that, but then over here it says this, Well, how do you find out? Well, you send it in and find out. So I sent it to Joseph, who was in Arizona, or is in Arizona, and he said, hey, it says it the same thing. Title 28, Section 28407. Right? If you read that, certificate of insurance, except here, I believe you give it to ADOT. With the director, yeah, because this is under the Department of Transportation, I believe, in transportation. Where in Michigan, it was an MCL 257-518, which said to give it to the Secretary of State, which is, that's who handles your license here. Okay, well, that's what he did. And what did he get back? So this is what she wrote to him. I am receipt of a certificate of insurance from Thimble Insurance Services. Is this a policy of Mr. Blankenship's two vehicles? If it is a vehicle policy, are there any other vehicles that should be attached to? My number is shown below, and if you need to contact me, thank you for your assistance. Elizabeth Zuber, Mandatory Insurance Unit. All right, gave her phone number and this, So she just wanted to know if there's anything else that needs to be put on there. And so Joseph talked to her, and she said, I just talked to ADOT. She said, I just sent a copy of registration of any vehicle being covered. So that's what they wanted, was the copy of the registration for the vehicle. Right? So if you have a registration for your vehicle, now that could be, now what I'm thinking that is, it's not the registration you get yearly, although if you have it, send it. But what we're talking about here is the title to your vehicle, which has your name on it as being the frickin' owner. Right? That's the vehicle that this is for. So your title of insurance, it says on it it's prima facie evidence of ownership, and it has your name on it, and now you're going to give them this document from Thimble Insurance or whoever you got it from, right? Because, again, he just did this one. This is this company here, right? Doing additional insured. Boom. And so now, I think he said, this is the first month payment. It's like $27 a month. It's different in different places, right? But for $3 more a month, you could go from $1 million to $2 million. Right? That's all it would cost you to bump this up from $27 to $30-some it was, as I remember. And so, yeah, it sounds like you got to send in the registration. And I believe when we say that, when we talk registration, we're talking the certificate of title for your vehicle. Now, these are all things that somebody who has the resources and wants to go get the insurance can go find out. If you want me to find out, well, then you can pay for me and I'll go find out and then I'll put it in a video. But otherwise, somebody else is going to have to go find out because I can't do it. To say the least, that, it's hard to make a living when it's all on donations. So that's what we did. Now, where are we going with this next? I'll show you. Hang on. Okay, so obviously, to do this part I'm talking about here, you don't have to have a public adjuster. You could just go get it yourself. And I told Joseph, well, look at Joseph, if that worked, maybe what we need to do is send a copy to, like the Secretary of State, to indemnify the state. Make the state of Michigan, the state of Arizona, whatever it is, make them an additional insured on your insurance policy. Right? Because we're always dealing in commerce, and this is the whole idea, that whether you like it or not, you're dealing in commerce because as far as the government's concerned, in their definition of commerce, which is the very broadest it can be, any sort of social intercourse is commerce. You sending a letter is commerce. Well, if you're going to be dabbling in commerce, you need to have insurance. And if you read enough about sole proprietors needing insurance, they'll say especially sole proprietors need insurance. Now, whether you have an EIN for your sole proprietorship or not doesn't matter. You still have a sole proprietorship. You don't have to have an EIN. You doing business as you is you doing business. And so what they did is they took your person, which is a body and a soul, and this is one of those things I just don't like to have to argue with people about, because their religious beliefs believe that the word person's wrong. There's something wrong with the word person. All right, well, I'm just going to go with what Webster said. Let's see what Webster says about person. All right, this is my definition, because this is what Webster said. An individual human being consisting of a body and soul. That's what a person is. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. They took a person and they split it in two, and they made these natural person and legal person. Because anytime you add a word to another word, when you modify something with another word, you reduce its power. Right? And so person was split in two. Actually split in three: spiritual, legal, and natural. And they put them in different boxes, and they don't want you to put it back together, right? If you can't put them all back together, you don't get to be a person. You end up being a thing. And here we are. We're being treated as things when we go to court. Or we're being treated as animals without a spirit, right? Because if you read the FDA stuff, they say man and other animals. So man is an animal, not necessarily a human being, which is an animal with a spirit. That's the way the world rolls, right? It's all ecclesiastic at some point, and well, so be it. Just go with the system's much older than we are. We're going to have to learn to make the system work for us. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to go figure it out. And so if what they did is they got rid of persons as far as taking them to court and whatever they charge and taxes and none of these things. Go look at your warranty deed or whatever you think makes you the owner of your house. It doesn't have your name on it. Look at your property taxes. It'll have your name backwards. And then the property description won't be the same as the property description on your deed. So why are you paying those taxes? Right? When you go to court and you look at the docket, it'll have your name backwards. It may say Rutluski, Robert A. Well, who the hell is that? Right? I only have one legal name. So they're making up these legal fictions and sticking them to you and then making you want to be responsible for it, liable for it. And then they're going to put a claim against your general liability insurance, which is your Social Security account. I can't prove most of this stuff. It's just my theory, right? You can have your own. But something's going on. And we went to insurance, and under tort insurance, which is general liability insurance, I don't have to prove fault. I just have to prove fact. And the facts are in the public record. They got freaking court seals on them. Right? All we need to do is use their information. So if an attorney takes me to court, let's say it's a foreclosure, and so now they advertise in the newspaper, right, that there's going to be a foreclosure. Well, that's slander. Because the truth of the matter is the bank never signed any papers with you to lend you any money. There isn't any agreement between a lender and a borrower. They may have talked about it, but they never did it, right? They didn't sign the contract. Both parties have to sign or it's not a contract. Anyway, so, hey, here's what it says in a commercial general liability coverage. So you may want to download one of these if you've not done this before. Instead of, where do you find the information I'm talking about? If you Google CG 00140413 commercial general liability, you'd probably pull this up because it's a form, right? These are forms without blanks. Many forms have blanks you fill in, but they're still forms, right? But this is a form. Don't mess with the form. They're supposed to do what the form says. And this is commercial general liability coverage. And, well, again, I show this in my other videos. I can't do it all the time, so we'll just go back. But if you go back again, Rob Ryder, ROBBBRYDER, search by upload date or newest video first or whatever they tell you to do, and just go down to read the back of the can. That's where most of the stuff starts with this. They talk about these personal and advertising injuries, right, being covered. And what are they? Well, false arrest, detention, or imprisonment, malicious prosecution, wrongful eviction, wrongful entry, evasion, invasion, slanders and libels, right? Put it in the newspaper. That's slander and libel. The sheriff throws you out of your house. That's wrongful eviction. You're in a foreclosure. It's malicious prosecution. Somebody claiming to be a cop that doesn't have an oath of office stops you on the side of the road. Well, that's a false arrest. He don't have the authority to stop your ass or detain you or imprison you, which is what my first couple of attempts at putting something in were, because I have those records myself. But if I was in a foreclosure, I would go find a public adjuster and tell him you want him to get a hold of the insurance company and get their frickin' insurance policy because you want to file a claim for malicious prosecution. And if the guy says, well, I don't know what you're talking about, all I ever do is chase fires and storms, I'll tell him to watch my videos. Right? And if you're watching my video because of that, well, that's all you got to do, brother. It's simple. You got all sorts of power. We're going to get to that in just a second. I have to find that one. It's in here somewhere. But like I said, I got all sorts of things I wanted to cover. So that's this here. So malicious, right? Personal and advertising injury. Occurrence means an accident, including continuous repeated exposure to substantially the same harmful conditions. So it may have been an accident that they did this personal and advertising injury. But the fact is, it's a tort because it was done and under strict liability, which is what general liability insurance is all about for torts. In fact, that's all it is for, is torts. And all torts are strict liability. If you did it, it's a tort. You damaged somebody. Now they have to pay for the damage. So they're not paying for the property that was damaged. They're just paying for the occurrence that they did it. And those occurrences can be for $2 million, $5 million, all sorts of numbers. They say, yeah, I'll accept that. Right, I want to settle for that. So this is where we get to, well, why not take it to an attorney? Because that's what they're going to tell you to do. Because if you go to an attorney and file a lawsuit under these policies, the law or the insurance company is going to defend the insured. But if you file a claim with the insurance company, they'll settle the claim. And I just want them to settle the claim. And the proper way to file a claim is using a claim adjuster. But in this case, under general liability, they won't be adjusting anything, right? They're not going to negotiate a deal. They're just going to go do the investigation and file the claim. Right? Anything after that is between you, the claimant, and the insurance company. But we're just trying to get the paperwork in right the first time so we can have, so we can negotiate. And I'm trying to do that right now. I actually have something that looks like it's going through the mediation system in Michigan, and we'll get to that, but it may be a little bit of time here. But those are the things I did this week because I don't have a public adjuster yet. So, I'm not going to stop me. I'll go ahead and do it anyways. So I had shown before that the state of Michigan has liability insurance, and in there it has named insureds and locations. And one of the insureds is the state of Michigan, right? Where it doesn't say state of Michigan, which is the name of the insured on the policy. It says the state of Michigan, which is actually the proper style of the state. Here's a little history lesson. Did I have it up there now? Where are you? Here we go. So in the very first Constitution of Michigan in 1835, they had this preamble that we, the people of the territory of Michigan, established by an act of Congress, and whatever they did, mutually agree to form ourselves into a free and independent state by the style and the title of the state of Michigan. All right, so that's the people. The people are the state of Michigan, right? They're the lowercase s state of Michigan. state, where did I say that? Agree to form ourselves into a free and independent state by the style and title of the state of Michigan. Well, that's who's insured on their insurance policy. So that's me, right? I am an insured. I'm on your policy. Pay me because you harmed me. Well, as I'm finding out, we'll get into it later, this policy, which here says this says state of Michigan. This doesn't say the state of Michigan. It says state of Michigan. Care of DTMB Risk Management, which I believe is actually the insurer, right? And state of Michigan is just one of the insured. So I'm learning all sorts of this whole thing, this whole piece of paper here is a can of worms for the state of Michigan right now. I got shoving it up the insurance commissioner's keister if they don't get something done here. Because this company doesn't even exist. There is no AM Winds Brokerage Midwest. And it says here that this insurance was placed with an insurer that's not licensed by the state of Michigan. In case of insolvency, payment of claims may not be guaranteed. Well, that would mean this is a surplus insurer. It's much deeper than I want to get right now. But when I went and looked what it says, this S here should be lowercase, not uppercase. So, even this is a counterfeit document pretending to be commercial general liability declarations. But it's a counterfeit because the fucking information is nothing but a lie. And so somebody's committing insurance fraud. And, I'm not letting go of that one. Okay, let me show you some more. Hang on a second here. Okay, well now let's talk about a public adjuster as an investigator for a bit. So when I went to the Michigan legislature website and, did a search on public adjuster, I only got 3 hits, right? And so this is all the laws of Michigan are in here. There's only 3 of them come up, and 2 of them are in the same law, basically Chapter 338, and this other one is in Chapter 500, which is the insurance code. But this other one here, this 338, it's actually a Professional Investigator License Act. And so that's interesting. So I read about this for a little bit. We talk about what a certified public accountant is. Hey, it defines an insurance adjuster. Means a person other than a professional investigator. So, okay. So you're not actually one of these people, right? So this act doesn't really apply to you. But, let's read on. Other than a professional investigator who, for a consideration, engages in activities described in subdivision E in the course of adjusting or otherwise participating in the disposal of claims under or in connection with a policy insurance. Insurance adjusters include any of the following. So before we get to that, I think we can agree now. Well, you don't have to adjust. You can otherwise participate. So if somebody tells you can't adjust a general liability insurance claim, say I'm not adjusting it. I'm just participating in the disposal of the claim. Okay, so who are they? Well, you have, a public adjuster acting for claimants. That's what you're doing. Right? You're the public adjuster acting for the claimant. You're really acting like my attorney in this other form of court where there is an adjuster for the insurance company. They're represented, but I'm not represented. Right? And really, they're not representing me. They're representing my claim because the way they do their paperwork is they take a percentage for winning the claim. So they only get paid if you win. It's a wonderful day, right? So we just need to do it right, guys, and you can get paid and I can get my claim. And if you want to be an adjuster and only do this, well, this is what you would be doing, right? You need to get the information from a general liability claim so you can file a claim. Now, my understanding is that the adjusters, what they do first is they make up a report. That's what you need to do with me. Come make up a report. Go do an investigation. But let's see what you can investigate. right? Because you're a public adjuster for the claimant, and that would be me. Investigation business means a business that for a fee, reward, or other consideration. Now, what did they say up here? For a consideration. So right? For a consideration. We should probably see exactly what that means, but whatever that means, right? You're covered. Engages in business or accepts employment to furnish or subcontracts or agrees to make or makes an investigation for the purpose of obtaining information with reference to any of the following. Or makes an investigation. Crimes or wrongs done or threatened against the United States or a state or territory of the United States or any other person or legal entity. Well, there have been wrongs done against our fictitious person, Robert Allen Mertluski, in this fictitious world by persons putting a claim against my policy, against me under false pretenses. They can't drag me into the fiction world, right? So they, if they're going to say that I've done something wrong, then they need to say I did it wrong. They're not. They're saying the thing did it wrong, or they're just putting a claim against the thing and saying what I did was a tort, and they're going to take my property, whatever they're doing. What I know is what they're doing is a crime or a wrong done against my person or legal entity, take your pick, and you have the authority to investigate. What else is it? The identity, habits, conduct, business, occupation, honesty, integrity, credibility, trustworthy, efficiency, loyalty, activity, movement, whereabouts, affiliation, association, transactions, acts, reputations, or character of a person. So you can investigate a person. So you're going to investigate the insurance company and say, I need to see your insurance paperwork. And if they won't give it to you, well, we'll go to the insurance commissioner and tell them, well, I need you to issue me a subpoena. Because she has the authority to do so. You may have the authority to do so. But somebody at the, under the Department of Insurance has the authority under administrative law to issue an administrative subpoena. So that's how we get the information. This isn't that difficult. We'll just subpoena their ass. But I think if you were to ask as a public adjuster in your official capacity, that they would just give it to you because, that's the way that the rules work. You're a state officer, right? I'm not a state officer. Me asking for it's just, it's a fiction world. They don't care. They don't know who I am. I'm a person. They're working as fictions. So they act like they don't hear you or see you or, they're the Tin Man. A cause of responsibility of fires, libels, right? Libels, losses, accidents, or damage or injury to persons or property. The location, disposition, or recovery of lost or stolen property. Well, I showed my last videos. I can prove to you that we all have these accounts at your state treasury that we don't know about, that they're putting claims against all the time. Right? I have with the state, with the Michigan Department of Treasury, an account in the name of Robert Allen Mertluski under an account number that I know nothing about, that they are putting a claim for taxes against, saying that I ran business through this account, and the taxes were, sales tax was like $5,000, which will work out to, that means about $90,000 at 6% tax. But then they're adding on because I didn't pay it on time and so forth, where it's like $15,000. Well, I don't even know this account exists. And so that all should be done by somebody representing me, which apparently isn't happening. And so they're putting all these fees on so that even though they ran this $90,000 of business through me, right? My business generated $90,000 worth of business without me knowing it. They're going to tax most of it, right? And put it in their account. And so I want that back. Say, hey man, I didn't even know this account existed. And so then I tried to get the paperwork for it, and they won't give it to me, and they won't let me have a hearing. Or if you're going to say I owe this tax and not prove it, I say that's slander. Right? So I want to file a claim against their insurance. So this is the biggest thing. I mean, there's more in here, but it's right on the front page, right? As an insurance adjuster, you are acting as in an investigation business, and you have a license from the state. You're a state investigator for crimes or wrongs done or threatened against the United States, or state or territory, or United States, or any other person or legal entity. Well, let's look at a crime against the United States. Now, this is what it says in Title 4 United States Code, Section 101. Right, so this is a federal law. Law of the United States, where it says oath by members of legislature and officers. Every member of the state legislature and every executive and judicial officer of state shall, before he proceeds to execute duties of, to wit, I, state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That's simple enough. So anybody who wants to enforce any law in the United States has to have filed this oath just the way you see it now, except where it has AB, it would have their full legal name in it. I, Robert Allen Wertlewski, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That's what the federal government wants you to do. Now, if the state wants to add and have their own oath, well, they can, but it's their own oath. They would have to do this one to satisfy the federal government because it didn't say to add anything to it. All right, it doesn't give them any authority to add anything else to this. It's just exactly what they want to see. Anything else would be another oath, which is fine because even the President of the United States is supposed to take 2 oaths. The one in Section 2 or Article 2, and then one to satisfy Article 6, which is actually this oath right here. These are the same words that come out of the oath that's found in 1 stat, S-T-A-T, statute of, what is that? 1 stat 23, statutes at large, right? The very first law passed by the very first Congress after the ratification of the Constitution has this oath of office in it, and it says this is the oath that satisfies the 6th article of the Constitution. Shall take this oath, and they haven't done it. So as an example, specifically, here's the oath of the person who claims to be the governor of Michigan. But it says state of Michigan. See, it doesn't say the state of Michigan. It doesn't just say Michigan. It says state of Michigan. The same name as the place that has the insurance. Or says they have the insurance. Right? I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and will faithfully discharge the duties of governor according to my best of my ability. Well, as you can see, it doesn't say IAB. So this is a different oath. This oath doesn't satisfy this requirement. So, okay, well, fine, you took this oath. Where's this oath? Well, they don't seem to have it. Now, it isn't really fine because even this oath is wrong, as I pointed out in numerous videos before. She didn't use her full legal name, right? Her middle name is Esther. It should be in there. It isn't. And this is supposed to be like the oath that's in the Michigan Constitution of 1963. That's our most current. It's like the last section, chapter, Article 10 or 11. I don't remember exactly. 9, 10, or 11. But in there, it gives the oath. And but in that oath, this Constitution of the state is lowercase c, lowercase s, which would mean Constitution of the United States and lowercase would be the same Constitution. But this way, it's talking about 2 different constitutions. Constitution of the United States and another constitution, Constitution of the state. Well, that's incorrect. So it's grammatically incorrect and doesn't have the same meaning. And finally, the governor can't take an oath of office before a notary. It's a state law. So, I want to file a claim against this shit. This person is not the governor of Michigan. It has absolutely no authority over me. Or anybody who's under her, which are now, when you look at a ticket in Michigan, what we call a ticket, it says at the very top, it says State of Michigan. Uniform law citation. Okay, well then, I don't care who gave it to you. The state of Michigan's involved. Somebody else may be involved also, but the state of Michigan is. Their name is on it. When they take you to court for that ticket, at the top of the paper will say State of Michigan. Oh, sorry. Hang on a second. Okay. So that was that's the alleged governor of Michigan. Well, how about my state representative? So what I did is I found the clerk, House of Michigan. I sent a written request for oath of office and certificate of election. Written request for oath of office, certificate of election for District 73 Representative State Rep Lynn Affendolis. Thank you, Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Rutluski, U.S. Army. Hey, you know what? If you do that, they tend to, give you a little more respect than if you don't. If you're a veteran, don't be afraid to tell them you're a veteran because you're still in. Again, if you're not familiar with this part of what's going on, if you ever served in the military, you're still in. Unless you can show me you have an order, an order, an order, right, that says that you were separated from the custody and control of the military. I think that's the exact term. It's actually it's in a regulation. This is what it needs to say for you to be released from the military. Has to be on a DD-214 on an order, and then you get a certificate. So the DD-214 most people have, shows that they were released to the reserves or put on extent or unpaid leave or some other thing. They don't say that you're released from the custody and control of the military. And so you're still in. So I'm still a staff sergeant. I'm still a federal officer. They may not want to admit it, but I am. So, but she didn't answer. So then I sent her a second notice, right? Did it again. I found this to be helpful too. If they don't answer, you send for a FOIA or something trying to get something, then send them a second notice. Just take the same thing, put second notice in front of it, and send it back out to the same person again. But I finally did it a third time. Notice of claim. I intend on filing a strict liability tort claim against the clerk's liability insurance policies for the clerk's intentional torts, errors, and omissions. Send me copies of all liability policies, right? Because I had been asking for this other stuff, and I hadn't gotten it. Well, I finally got her to send something. This is what the clerk sent, right? That this is supposed to be the oath of office for my representative. So it's got a place in there to state your name. And it could almost be properly done, but this one isn't signed. The clerk didn't sign it. So what they're telling me is that my state representative does not have an oath of office. Because all that shit's supposed to go to the clerk. So, I'm going to file a claim against their insurance policy. So who are they covered under? Well, that's what I need an investigator for, to find these policies, because the one I showed you for state of Michigan, to me, looks like it's fictitious. And if I can't find their official policy, then I want their policy as an attorney, because most of these people are attorneys or they're accountants or they're some other professional, and they have liability insurance for errors and omissions of some kind, and I'll put it against that. Right? That's what we need. The power of the state, public state investigator. Now, they didn't say that. I did. But I'm saying that's what you are. You have that power. You can go to the state commissioner. You can send them any kind of question you have them answer it for you. You can send them any kind of thing that may have them make a declaratory judgment on. You can get them to agree with you first, right? And you can get them to send a freaking subpoena to somebody. And all you need to do that is show them where it says it in the law. Right? Because, you guys are in the same jurisdiction. And I know that, 8 years in the military, I'm quite sure that if I could show somebody in the military what it said in the book, right, that's what they were going to do. Now, they didn't do it. Well, I'm not saying they would do it. They didn't do it. Well, they go to jail now. Right? But you went and told the Pharisee the truth, and they got to deal with it. Right now, they can say they didn't know. Who can know all this stuff? There's just too much to know. But you can't run away from it when it's been shown to you. That's why it's in the book. Right? That's why they put it in a book, so we don't have to remember it. So go get the book. Okay. Oh, shoot. Yeah, hang on a second. Okay, one other law real quick, because this is really important. This is Title 31, right? So 31 USC for United States Code, Section 3702. 31 USC 3702. If you Google that, you could pull up your own copy of this. And as you can see, when it has this border on it, when they send it electronically, it means this is a certified copy. So you could send this to somebody else if you could do it, encrypted. And it would be like serving them a certified copy of a public record, right? You could use this in court, basically. But when you print it out, well, then it loses that character, because now it's just, it's not certified. But online it's certified. And so it says, except as provided in this chapter or another law, all claims of or against the United States government shall be settled as follows. Well, right, the United States government is self-insured. So it's like, well, this is how you file an insurance claim. And then it talks about Secretary of Defense, claims involving uniformed service members' pay, allowances, travel. I actually have a claim like that I haven't done this way. But because we are in the military, I say that they're holding my pay in arrears, and I'm still trying to get it and waiting on that answer. But in the meantime, I'm doing all these other things. And, well, here you go, right? Claim against government presented under the section must contain something or other. I got the Director of Office of Personnel and Management shall settle claims involving federal civil employees. The Administrator of the General Services shall settle claims involving expenses incurred by the federal civil employees. And then the Director of Office of Management Budget shall settle claims not otherwise provided by this subsection or another provision of law. I actually sent them one. So here's an example, right? Thinking outside the box, using that law. And now, using a public adjuster's signature block, basically. Let me see. Where was signed claim? I sent a complaint to that office saying that, that the United States was in default, owes Michigan protection, Republican form of government. Because the person pretending to be the governor isn't the governor, right? Then I don't have a Republican form of government, because a Republican form of government requires there to be elected officers. And we don't have any elected officers, right? The people we see there are just pretending to be the government. They don't have a proper oath of office. They're de facto, right? And so it's an insurance claim. But, what kind of insurance claim? Well, in this case, it's one against the United States. It's in default of the Constitution. The Constitution said that they were going to give me a Republican form of government, and I don't have one. So the state of Michigan, right, that's the people again, according to the Constitution 1835, doesn't have a Republican form of government that we're owed, and it's the United States' fault because they're supposed to guarantee it. So I want to file a claim, again, use a public adjuster as my witness. So that's the kind of things I'm thinking. This is like, petitioning the government for a redress of grievance. How do you do it? Well, you send your claim to who's ever in 37 USC 3702. Or not. But, how you find out? Well, I just go ahead and try it. I don't try to be perfect. I just try things. Right? If I get a nibble, well, I'll try harder. But this is what's going on. Okay, I want a couple other things. Well, now we're going to get into the things that had to do with me trying things of my own with this insurance, because I don't have a public adjuster, and, where they sit today. And, well, hang on just a second. I probably should have gone through these earlier, but we'll do them now so I can see that I did. So commercial general liability insurance, just a few short definitions so we can all agree what we're talking about, right? Is a broad range of insurance policy which provides liability insurance for general business risk. Specific name for a policy of this type in the United States insurance market, right? Commercial general liability. It's a particular kind of insurance. It is first line of coverage that a business typically purchases and covers many of the common risks that happen to any type of business, such as bodily injury, personal damage on the business premises or due to business operations, personnel or advertising injury, that's false arrest, malicious prosecution, unlawful eviction, da da da. It excludes certain kinds like professional services, like an attorney, so they're supposed to have, errors and omissions insurance. There's political insurance. There's all kinds of insurance. But so that's that definition. What about strict liability? In criminal and civil law, strict liability is a standard of liability under which a person is legally responsible for consequences following from an activity, even in the absence of fault or in criminal intent, even if it's an accident on the part of the defendant. In the field of torts, which is what general liability insurance is for, torts, prominent examples of strict liability may include product liability, abnormally dangerous activities, intrusion on another's land, that would be trespass, and ownership of wild animals. Well, that could be a human because, man is an animal. Ask the FDA when they give their definitions and talk about things, man and other animals. So if your man is wild, well then, they tort. Traditional criminal offenses that require no intent, no element of intent, include statutory rape, felony murder. Right? So murder doesn't require any intent. It's a tort. All wrongs are torts, and all torts are strict liability because a thing, right? A corporation can't have any moral judgment. It's a thing. An additional insured is a person or organization that enjoys the benefits of being insured under the policy. Well, the state of Michigan was insured, and so that makes me, because I'm the state of Michigan, an additional insured on the policy of state of Michigan. See how that works? It's a wonderful, wonderful system. And then just quickly about adjusters in Michigan, right? This is really all they have, adjuster. Application for adjuster license must process reasonable understanding of the provisions, terms. So you got to take a 100-question test. There are two types of adjusters. Adjuster for the insured, that's what we call the public adjuster. That would be for us. Adjuster for the claimant is another name they used, right? That would be us. And insurance adjuster, which is an independent adjuster who represents the insurance companies. And then they have a company adjuster who's a salaried employee of an insurance company. So, you got the one that works in the insurance company, that one that works for the insurance company, and then you have the one that works for the public. That's the one we would need. Casualty insurance is problematically defined term, right? It's a bond, as it turns out, a public official's bond is a form of insurance. Where it should be a bond, it's actually a form of insurance, which broadly encompasses insurance not directly concerned with life insurance, health insurance, or property insurance. Casualty insurance, mainly liability coverage, right? There you are. It's mainly liability coverage. That's what casualty insurance is, liability coverage. Right? Because even if a fire was an accident, it's still a liability, right? You can't be burning down people's houses. That's arson. Even if you burn down your own by mistake, right? It's still burned down. Well, then it's a tort. Got to pay the claim. However, the term has also been used for property insurance, aviation insurance, boiler and machinery, glass, crime insurance, may include marine insurance, surety insurance, earthquakes, political risk insurance, terrorism insurance, which all these, the ones I've looked at so far that claim to be the government, they all have a separate policy in there for terrorism insurance. $5 million per occurrence for just putting you in fear. At the end of the day, they define terrorism as coercion and fear. So, yeah, you have a claim. You have a claim. Okay. Hang on. Okay, so what I had done is I was making a mountain out of a molehill from the beginning, and we'll look at what that is, where the molehill is in just a second. But it led me to finally file complaints with the Department of Insurance and Financial Services, DIFS, right? And I filed a complaint, actually filed two complaints, one against the County of Montcalm and one against the State of Michigan for the same occurrences. Just saying, well, you both got insurance. I'm going to go against both of you. You're both guilty. And I didn't get an answer. So then I sent another second notice to them on those, right? And that day, I got this email sent to me, and it said, new secure email message for Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services, open message. So I did. And what I found when I did was, well, what did I find? That is what I found. What I found was this right here, that they had, the Department of Insurance and Financial Services had set me up a kind of encrypted email system. But this was their first answer to me. To Robert Allen Roluski. Hey, they used my full legal name. Thank you very much. Consumer Service File Number. The Michigan Department of Insurance, not State of Michigan, the Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services has received your complaint against the above-mentioned entities. But as you can see, there is nobody mentioned except in the attachment, which is what we'll look at here in a minute. Right? I don't see where it says State of Michigan and County of Montcalm. Your complaint appears to involve a legal dispute between yourself, the State of Michigan, and County of Montcalm. This matter does not fall under the jurisdiction of DIFS. If you wish to pursue this matter, you may consider contacting an attorney. This will conclude our activity on this matter. Well, I didn't agree with her, so I wrote her back a number of times now. And I said, Amy, I'm sorry to say that if what you wrote in answer to my complaint is your official position, you are not qualified to handle my business, and I appeal your decision to deny me relief from insurance fraud. Please have your supervisor contact me ASAP. That would be ASAP. As soon as possible. Now, what day was that? 19th. What day was the 19th? That Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. We're late in the afternoon on the 19th, right? Like, I don't remember exactly when. But I said, well, hell, I'm writing stuff. I'll write her some more, right? Because now I have this thing. I'm going to see if I can use it more and more and more. Now, why is that in there twice? Looks like I went to two. Did I go two places twice? March at 6:09. Okay, so then because I had figured out what Director Fox's email address was, and I thought I knew Whitmer's, which is supposed to be the governor, but I didn't have hers. But I had Fox's. I said, let me see if I can send one to Fox. It looks like it worked. Director Fox, you are liable for this obstruction of justice and insurance fraud happening on your watch. I need a certificate of insurance for your liability insurance carrier listing my business as an additional insured. I have attached a copy of my business's SS4 form and evidencing my business's EIN and its physical address. Please have your liability insurance provider provide me proof of evidence, protection of my business from your acts. So, said, fine, I want to get put on her insurance policy because she's supposed to have a bond. So whether they call it a bond or insurance, it's some kind of liability insurance, and I want it to be added to it. Or at least I want to get a copy of it so that I can, file a claim. So, if I was a public adjuster, I would be able to subpoena her to get her information. But I think she'd just have to give it, she'd have to give it to me anyways, because she has to do it by the book. If you're in the system, I just believe if you bring the book to her, she's going to have to do it by the book. And then I sent another one in. These were all tit for tats. Just I added the testimony of Robin Tillery, insurance analyst, Consumer Services, Illinois Department of Insurance, stated in consumer complaint, because I'd actually filed a complaint with the Illinois also, because the insurance company that's on the state of Michigan's insurance policy is supposed to be, they say their office is in Peoria, Illinois. But they're not licensed to sell insurance in Michigan. So what the hell was that all about? And so they sent me a nice little answer to that. I might as well open up for giggles. But see, that's, so to me, now, because I didn't know what was going to happen when I did this complaint, but what they did do is they gave me some sort of encrypted email service, and I'm going to use the crap out of it here over this next week and send all sorts of encrypted emails to all sorts of people that claim to be the government and try to get them to pay attention to it. Right? They can't say that it just came from AOL anymore. No, it's encrypted mail. In fact, I should be able to use this to contact the VA now, because they only will contact you if you have encrypted mail. Da-da-da-da-da. But you can see that the commissioner, they're saying they're Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services, not State of Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services. They're trying to act like they're two different jurisdictions. Right? And that my original complaint, was against the state of Michigan, right? Which isn't in the state of Michigan. This is a business. State of Michigan, according to their insurance policy, they're in charge of state government buildings. They're a fucking janitor service. And then the county of Montcalm, which has their insurance through some Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, or so they say, but, even that is suspect, because it isn't the county of Montcalm. It's actually Montcalm County, Michigan. This is they like to play with the words, right? Flip them around, so forth and so on. And so while I had sent a complaint to the insurance adjuster about the state of Michigan and about the county of Montcalm, I had also been in contact with the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. They called me. And so, I must have been talking to their agent, right? Their adjuster. County of Montcalm's adjuster. Because they tell you this is where you're supposed to send it, right? They give you an address to send it to, and you send it to them. And so you're really not sending it to the insurance company who you're trying to open your claim with. They have you sending it to some third party where they're going to say you can't have what you're asking for. Well, part of the agreement that the County of Montcalm has with the MMRMA is that any, whatever gets settled will get settled in Wayne County, Michigan. And as it turns out, Wayne County, Michigan has the service through the Michigan Supreme Court. It's called the Wayne County Dispute Resolution Center, where if you have a complaint, dispute, mediation dispute with somebody in Wayne County, or something that happened in Wayne County, or whatever the things are, that you can use the system, and it's free. So I put something in way back on like the 3rd of March, right? Well, on the 18th, I get this thing pops up, says I have Aaron is now involved. Now, this is after I had filed the complaints with the state, about this MMRMA and against the state. But I had put this in, and, nothing had happened with it, because, the other party, it still shows it's pending. Party 2 had never shown up yet, Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. Right, so, this was easy enough to do. You went to, you come in, and right? You had to register. It was simple enough to do. We're waiting for the other party to join. What did I say? Briefly describe what you'd like to resolve. An occurrence of personal injury and terrorism by a member of the municipal or the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. Right? So what happens? I got pulled over for a ticket that got decided in a court that is its risk management comes from the county. That's how it's set up in Michigan. The local courts, risk management insurance, or whatever it's going to be, is provided by the county. So since the ticket said, a court that's in Montcalm County, I put it against Montcalm County. And those are in the previous videos I did. Again, go back and start at, read the back of the can and, come to newer. And those are the videos we're talking about. So what was the matter? I informed Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, insured member, County of Montcalm, that its employees and representatives are unqualified to enforce the laws of the United States and Michigan because they don't have an oath of office, as they had not filed a valid oath of office using their full legal name as identification, right, for USC 101, and that I am a veteran member of the Armed Forces of the United States, subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, guaranteed trial by court-martial, not by a private tribunal proceeding. What do I want to do? I want to settle a claim for damages. I'm saying all that was wrong, right? I'm still in the military, then I'm protected by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I ain't got to answer to no fucking local court. You have a problem with me, take me to the post. But in the meantime, since you did it, well, you ain't got an oath of office. You can't enforce any laws, and you're saying that's what you're doing. Right? So that's, what I had put in, and I was waiting, and all of a sudden, hey, a conversation gets started by Aaron. I will be your mediator in this matter. Mediation is a process in which I assist both of you in a discussion resolves issues before us. Each of you will have opportunity to share, Please tell me who will be speaking on behalf of Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority in this mediation. I hope that I can call both of you by your first names. Robert, please tell me your understanding of what brings us here. Now, that's interesting. I hope I can call you all by your first names, and then they call me Robert. Well, keep this in mind, right? My first name is Robert Allen. It's my given name. I don't have a middle name. I never have a middle initial. Robert Allen is my first name. And they just want to make it Robert, because that goes along with what Social Security does. They say your legal name is just your first name and your last name, and they don't include middle names. Well, when they have your family fill out the SS4 form for you to, or SS5 form to get a Social Security number, it's got a place to put a middle name in, and most people would put their Allen in that box, right? And, well, you just said that's not part of your legal name as far as they're concerned. Now, of course, they didn't tell you this ahead of time, but, it's written somewhere, so you're supposed to know. It's the law. Right? It says it in the book. So, anyways, that was what he wanted to do. Now, I was like, okay, well, Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. It doesn't show to me that we're actually in progress yet, but I'll go along with it. Let's start talking. Mediator, because he asked me why are we here. So, mediator, we are here because of my desire to settle a strict liability, tort loss, and damage claim for acts of terrorism and personal and advertising injury occurrences against my person by a member of the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, the restoration of my good name and all official records, confirmation of my Michigan residence address, return of all my seized personal property, and a decree from the Michigan Supreme Court that acknowledges that I am and remain an Armed Forces of the United States active military service member, not a Mr., which is a very interesting occurrence that the couple of back and forths I've had with MMRMA, the guy kept calling me Mr., and I said, I'm not a Mr., dude, I'm a staff sergeant, right? And he's saying, no, you can't be because you're not in the military anymore. They really want you to be a Mr. And I'd say, no, I'm still in the military, right? Apparently we have a dispute. No, I'm still in the military. Don't ever let them tell you you're not until they produce the order that shows that you've been separated from the custody and control of the military, then you're still in. And if you're a survivor, your deceased veteran, is still in the military. Right? They never let us out, and they're not letting us, put the paperwork in to change the status. Anyways, moving on. So I have provided MMRMA and its member full details of the strict liability torts and penalty, and the penalty, which was the law that they violated, right? So in this case, for USC 101, and in Michigan, it's 750, MCL 750-217C, which is a simulated legal process or impersonation of an officer. And I think it's 18 U.S.C. 912 is impersonation of an officer, and 18 U.S.C. 241, right? And then 242. Both of those have to do with simulation of legal process to in violation of federal law, right? They violated those. It's a tort. Simply because they didn't have the oath of office. That's what it began with. And the penalty for not having that would be, well, you're violating these other criminal laws now, so let's settle. Instead of numbering the numerous acts of terror and injury occurrences as individual torts, I'm inclined to group into one act of terrorism and one liability occurrence. I agree to settle my damage claim for the member's maximum per occurrence damages amount as stated in its agreement. Other equitable relief I request is within the member of MMRMA's ability to initiate and confirm with the execution of, by providing me proof and evidence. So while this is all about the fact that they gave me a traffic ticket, since they put me through all this, while we're here, we're going to fix all the records, right? I want a complete relief and equity and damages. Then I went on to say, for the record, my first name is Robert Allen, and my full legal name is Robert Allen Wodlewski. I do not have a middle name or middle initial. I'm making sure he knows this is all, supposed to be. This is all a service supported by a Michigan Supreme Court, so I'm making me a court record. Why is there a mediator appointed during this pending registration period? Are we still waiting on Party 2 to register? Right? Because again, it was, we're not really in the register. We're not in the mediation yet. It's, what do they call it? Pending registration. And then, hey, attorney Aaron Ogletree. So I went and looked him up, right? Let me go look him up on the Michigan State Bar website. And I found his registration number. I've attached the completed SS4 assigning my business, Robert Allen Wodlewski, the EIN number. Please have your liability insurance provider create a certificate of insurance with my business incorporated as an additional insured, and have them send it to my email address, right? Because I want to be added to his insurance company. I want my business to be added to his business's insurance. Well, I finally got him to answer. Right now, I'm not going to say it took him that long. I put all these in late on the 18th, during the 19th, on the 20th, which would have been Friday. I get an answer. Thank you for sharing that, Robert Allen. You're correct. I am an attorney, but on this matter, I am a mediator and not providing any legal services. Refer back to my statement, which I stated that I am not providing any legal service. This is a mediation, not a litigation or arbitration. It is my understanding that representative of Michigan Municipal Management will be joining this mediation. Outstanding. So, he's under the understanding that somebody's going to join. Well, that's how it should be done, because the way it reads in the agreement between the county and this MMRMA is that the executive director is the one that makes the decision on any claims, right? He's the mediator for the MMRMA, and I'm bringing him to mediation to get an agreement. It is my understanding that you are saying that It is my understanding that you are saying that something have wrongly been accused of terrorism, and as a result, you have suffered personal and advertised injury, and you wish to have your name, registration restored, so forth and so on. Anything else? I said, well, mediator, your understanding is incorrect. I will attempt to correct it. First, some entity is responsible, should have been not reasonable, responsible for all strict liability torts you might commit as a mediator, which would be in this case Wayne County, because he's working out of the Wayne County court. And the court has its liability covered by they call it the local funding unit, which would be Wayne County. Or it's coming from the state, right? The Supreme Court. Somebody's got liability insurance. So please add me. Please forward my request for certificate insurance to the agency you represent. So, okay, maybe he doesn't need to give it to me, but I'll take it from the agency he's representing. So I attached the joint powers agreement and the Michigan Municipal Management Coverage Overview, which is the contract, which I hadn't done before. I said, okay, I need to give the guy some evidence, right? So I'm doing that. Yeah, party 2 and member are parties to a joint powers agreement by which party 2 is delegated the authority to settle claims for the occurrences of member, that'd be the county, wrongful acts of personal injury, terrorism, as well as a host of other listed in the overview. My understanding of these agreements is that the executive director of party 2 is responsible for settling claims for wrongful acts by a member by alternative dispute resolution proceeding. My understanding comes from a decision by the State of Michigan Court of Appeals, which basically said that, it was about the MMRMA, and the court said they understand it to mean that the executive director is the one that's supposed to alternative dispute resolve claims. And that's all I'm really trying to do is get the guy who's supposed to make the decision to make the decision. And they got me dealing with people that don't have any decision power. So, we're at the counter, dealing with the counter troll. How do we get past them? Well, taking the mediation. So my person and property suffered due to an occurrence of wrongful acts by member terrorism and personal injury torts, as the terms are defined in the overview, against my person, causing my loss of liberty, loss of status, loss of privileges, loss of injury my being, and property damage. Take judicial notice, torts are strict liability wrongs that do not require any proof of fault. I provided both party 2 and member abundant evidence of the wrongful acts of terrorism and personal injury by member, and I am in expectation of a settlement for damages and equitable relief by the executive director of party 2, which would be MMRMA, using ADR to resolve disputes instead of by lawsuit. Because in a lawsuit, the insurance company is going to defend the insured. But when you file a claim, they're supposed to settle the claim. Mediator, please confirm your understanding of my position. And that's where it was left. And we should look at these real quick because they're not really that long. Well, this is how you learn, right? By looking at the paper. What did I do? That's that one. So what did this one say? This is the joint powers agreement. This is the coverage, right? So this is the thing that says what everything is covered by. So let's go look at an act of terrorism. Yeah, see, each of these have these sections on there. I need to get down the right section. Where are you? Terrorism. Definitions, that's always a good one, right? This is where Everything's decided. Tort liability, right? Allocated loss adjustment expenses means all costs to adjust, defend, or settle a specific claim or lawsuit. I want them to settle. Lawsuit means a suit of law, but not in equity. I think we're actually going to equity when we go to the insurance adjuster. Right? That's equity, and law is not there. Personal injury means other than bodily injury as defined, means false arrest, detention, malicious prosecution, libel, slander, statutory violation of statutory or constitutional rights, discrimination or harassment. Yeah, I can say they did that. Wrongful act means an actual or alleged error, misstatement, act, omission, neglect, breach of official duty, including misfeasance, malfeasance, and nonfeasance. Terrorism. There we go. How do we define terrorism? For the purpose of this section, terrorism shall mean an act, including but not limited to the use of force or violence or the threat of force or violence of any person or group of persons, whether acting alone or on behalf or in connection with any organization, government, committed for political, religious, ideological, similar purposes, including the intention to influence any governmental or government or to put the public or any section of the public in fear. Well, that's what they did. They put me in fear. Now you have to pay. Here's the management agreement, which basically said this is how they're created. General fund. Right? The MMRMA to perform and accomplish purposes set forth in the agreement shall be as follows. To settle claims. That's all I want them to do. I don't want to sue and be sued. We're not going there. We're just going to settle the claim. And, I'm going to use mediation first. So I'm going to exhaust all of my administrative remedies first, right? This is one of those things that they would tell you people have not done before. We haven't exhausted your administrative remedies. So there's nothing we can do to help you. But in this court case, which was State of Michigan Court of Appeals, unpublished, between Garden City and MMRMA. So if you want to look this up yourself, you can find it. I don't know exactly how. Just Google State of Michigan Court of Appeals, number 2886 or 565. 288-565. I'm sure it'd take you to it. It says the executive director shall decide all questions of coverage in specific cases. That'd be pursuant to Joint Powers Agreement, Article 16, Section 3. All right, so I'm just going to go with whatever the court said. And it went on to say, where's the part where... Oh, hang on a second. Okay, so what it said was MMRMA's executive director's decision is hereby affirmed. So they believe that whatever he does, right, they're going to affirm. So they're like a court. The contract that's in place, not only with regard to Garden City, but the other municipalities, has this dispute resolution process wherein the executive director decides disputes. And then there's an appeal process whereby the board of directors then handles appeals of the executive director's decision. Right? But it's the executive director that handles disputes. Where did it say? It is clear to the court that the intent of the contract and the intent of the coverage is to cover tort claims. Thank you very much. All right, the court's making my case. Garden City was only to be covered for their tort claims. So that's a big deal to me. Right, I got the court on my side, and now I've put it into this, this entity's hands. that says they're a service supported by the Michigan Supreme Court. Well, see how much support they're going to give. Wayne County Dispute Resolution Center. So, I got that one going. I got, I'm not done with these people yet. I'm just getting started with them. Oh, hang on a minute. Shit. Okay. Hey, we're about done. Just to show you, they had, in Michigan, they had an insurance complaint form, right? So, because I wasn't happy with what I was getting, I filled these out. I said the name of the insurance company is County of Montcalm because they say they're self-insured, so I guess you're the insurance company, right? That's why I did these, and I put the agent as this name that was on the policy I found, and the name of the insured person is Montcalm County, Michigan, because that's actually the municipal corporation, right? This other thing, County of Montcalm, is a thing they created so that it could be part of this association, but it's not the it's not the municipal corporation. It's a thing the municipal corporation created. I have a strict liability intentional tort. Now, look, this is just based on this, right? Here's the ticket. This is the ticket I got. Now, I talked about this more in my last couple of videos, so I can't spend a lot of time on it right now. But here they're going after my all caps name, right? This is, they're putting a claim against my property. That isn't against me. It's against my property because they didn't put my Social Security number in here. If it was against me, it would have my Social Security number because I got a Social Security number. But it isn't against me. It's against my property. It doesn't have my EIN number in there. But this is my property, right? This is my business. And on these things, they don't put any laws that you broke. They say local ordinance, but these aren't any ordinance numbers. They don't mean anything, right? This doesn't mean anything. They're not MCLs. They're not, per some code. Show me where these are. They can't do it. That's what I was asking from the beginning when this first happened. But, and they didn't check this box to say that I'm active military service. And sure I am. I'm still in the military. I don't have a frickin' order releasing me from the military yet. And then I went to this court, right, which is Montcalm CO, on somebody named Steve DeWitt, which isn't his full legal name, so there isn't anybody that did this. And it was Greenville Department of Public Safety. So I remember now, one of the first things the guy asked me was, well, is there any city involved? Like, he was trying to get me to say it had something to do with Greenville, the city of Greenville. I said, no. There's a place called the Greenville Department of Public Safety on a ticket, on an instrument that says it's the state of Michigan uniform law citation. Right? So it starts with state of Michigan at the top. Right? It's their fault. But because this court is in Montcalm County and it's, the county's responsible for the risk management of the courts, well, that's how they got themselves involved. Well, this ticket ended up with these citations that said that they were going to suspend my license. And now the name of the court isn't quite the same. It doesn't have Montcalm County CO on here like the other one did, or Montcalm CO. It's got a different phone number. The address is different. I nowhere on here is there any MCL, right? Any motor vehicle code infraction listed. It's just words. Right? Violation, registration, or plate violation. Well, what's the MCL? What code did I break? Well, they're not charging me for that. Right? This shit here says because I didn't do something, I'm guilty of this, but well, what did you charge me for? Right? There should be like an MCL like this. It's the MCL 275, 321, or whatever the number was. But it doesn't. So they're not charging me for any state law, yet they're going to say they're going to take my license. Well, So who did this? Well, this says state of Michigan. So that's why I was filing a claim against the state of Michigan. I wanted to get the state of Michigan's liability insurance policy and file a claim. And, they sent me the shit they sent me, which looks like it's bogus as hell. And now it has me going to the state insurance to complain about it. But, those were the reasons I was complaining, because I had filed these insurance claims with the MMRMA and the state of Michigan, or with the state of Michigan's insurance handler, and I hadn't heard back yet. So the county claims to be self-insured as County of Montcalm member, and under alleged liability insurance agreement includes Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority and IBEX Insurance, whoever's on the paperwork, put them on there. Well, as I found out, this MMRMA, in its full legal name, it isn't incorporated in Michigan. If you go look up businesses in Michigan, you could do it in any state, put in the name of your state, business lookup or something like that. And you should find a place where you can go put in the name of a business to see if they're licensed to do business in your state. Well, MMRMA isn't in there, so they don't have any authority to do anything in Michigan for anybody. So that was my complaint. It's a one-page form. Put it in, filled it out on the 12th, didn't hear, sent in a second notice, said, hey, people, I haven't heard from you. What the hell's going on? And now I got a, some form of secured mail system inside of their system. So from here, I can send, secured mail to anybody I want to. I believe. I'm going to have to try that. Well, here were the original claims. This is all I really said. This is all based on the ticket then and what I said to, the County of Montcalm and AKA the risk management people and so forth, right? I said I'm a covered person under their insurance because I have a Michigan ID and the EIN number and here's my name, right? I'm a covered person. So I'm covered under your insurance. I'm filing the claim and I want you to settle it. Robert Allen Wertluski, a 62-year-old citizen of the United States. That's me, citizen of the United States. Not a U.S. citizen, not any of these other things you people all get all up in arms about. No, citizen of the United States, lowercase c, citizen of the United States. That's me. Veteran enlistee of the Armed Forces of the United States. Elector, Michigan State House Representatives District 73. A covered person under member's policy files this statement of claim for occurrences of damages by member. Right away, they don't want to say I'm in the military, and they don't want me to be covered by their insurance. That was what their claims guy said when he called me the first time. By the doctrine of strict liability, claimant was damaged by member, malicious prosecution of state of Michigan uniform law citation. No agent, officer, employee of the state of Michigan or member complied with the supreme law of the land and federal law to be empowered to enforce laws in the United States, Michigan Vehicle Code, or any other public law. They don't have an oath of office. 4 U.S.C. 101. Right? Title 4, United States Code, Section 101. They don't have that oath of office. Person claiming authority under the United States have an obligation to comply with the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States and Section 101 of Title 4 of the United States Code prior to exercising any authority. As I said, the oath that satisfies the 6th Article of the Constitution is the oath that's found in 4 U.S.C. 101, originally published in 1 Stat 23, the very first law passed by the very first Congress assembled after the Constitution was for the very first time ratified. Other recorded strict liability occurrences by member that damage claimant include terrorism, false arrest, imprisonment, injury to my spirit being, waste of my estate, concealment of my active military service. A search of state of Michigan and members' records will uncover proof of claim. Right? So this is why I need an investigator. Go get those records if we need them to prove it. But they're there. Right? All those records exist, but I don't have any way to get them to give them to me. Claimant is an injured party of intentional tort, covered offense described as personal advertising injury, terrorism, bodily injury, property damage within the member's commercial general liability insurance policy. Claimant demands a settlement of damages and member corrects its records and restores claimant's good name. I put that in on the 7th. So we're only talking a lot of shit's happened in 2 weeks. Well, I'm reading this thing and I get to this next page and it said, Lord Bishop Tracy. I said, oh my God, the church is involved. But actually, that's her name. There's actually a person works there named Tracy Lord Bishop. That's a big name to live up to, sister. I hope you got it in you to do so. Because I don't know why Amy sent you a copy, but she did. This is the same Amy that later got a hold of me and said, well, I don't have a claim. And that this was the end of their investigation. Well, I don't agree with that. I appeal her decision. And then I sent one in against the state of Michigan for basically the same thing. I have a strict liability intentional tort claim against the state of Michigan and filed a statement of claim in both the insurance broker and insurance agency for the policy. The commercial general liability policy declarations page for this policy states that the insurer is not licensed by the state of Michigan. AMS Wins Brokerage Midwest recommended an insurance policy for insured for a non-licensed source, and now I'm unable to settle my damage claim for my loss caused by intentional torts of the state of Michigan. So it's insurance fraud. The state of Michigan don't have any insurance. Here's that claim. It says it's Mount Holly Insurance Company, which is supposed to be in Illinois, which turns out to be some special kind of what they call surplus insurance. And it's supposed to be for the state of Michigan, but care of this DTMB Risk Management. So is DTMB Risk Management, are they actually the insurance company for the state of Michigan? AM Wins Brokerage Midwest, it's not licensed anywhere in the state of Michigan, insurance-wise or just business-wise, to do business in Michigan or handle insurance. They don't exist. Right? What's the state of Michigan's business? State government buildings. What the hell is that? The insurance has been placed with an insurer that is not licensed by the state of Michigan. In case of insolvency, payment of claims may not be guaranteed. Can you believe that we're dealing with this kind of stuff, right? This is in the insurance business. For if you're a public insurer and still watching, this is the people you work with saying these things. Or work for, right? So don't have any fear. Go rebuke them. Go show them the law and say, no, you're fucking wrong. It's not what it says, Amy. This is what it says. This is just another, what I wrote last time. I don't want to read them again. But, there it is. There's the law I gave them. 4 USC 101, Oath of Members. Can't get around it. And here's the simulated legal processes that are a result of people who may believe they have the authority to do what they did, but they don't because they don't have an oath. It's a freaking strict liability tort. Just pay the claim. So that's where we are. That was a lot. I had one more thing. So because this because these people where was I? My God, man. One of those days today. Please hang on. And so I had filed these complaints like last Friday or something, or sometime last week, a week ago. Well, Monday I get a call from the guy who says he's representing Mount Holly Insurance Company, which I can't remember their name right now, but it wasn't them. And so it's like, well, then whoever it is acting like they're adjuster. And it's like, well, I wonder if he called me just because I had filed these complaints. But I had also filed a complaint about the Mount Holly Insurance Company with the Illinois Department of Insurance. Now I got a complaint number there. It's official. They didn't use my middle name, so I got to correct them too. It's always the same thing. Don't let them mess up your name. Don't let them call you a mister. All right, here it is. I have to go back and correct them, but it's okay. They gave me something to start with. And there are 2 categories of insurance in Illinois and most states. One category includes licensed insurance companies. These companies must comply. The other is insurance generally referred to as surplus lines. So they are required to register with the Department of Insurance, but not required to follow any laws regarding the claims. Well, this Mount Holly isn't registered with the insurance. Right? They're not registered with the Department of Insurance in Illinois. Surplus line carriers do not file policy forms or underwriting requirements with the department, right? So these forms they give you, whatever's on the form is what they have to comply with. Please be advised that all policy forms issued by surplus line carriers must clearly indicate that the policy was issued by a surplus lines carrier. Your policy declaration page does not indicate the insurer is. Your policy indication page does indicate that the insurer is not licensed in Michigan and is therefore a surplus lines carrier in that state as well. You may contact this Michigan Department of Insurance to verify. I think I will. If the company was not a surplus lines carrier, your concerns would need to be addressed by the Michigan Department of Insurance, as you are a resident of Michigan and a policy was issued in Michigan. The physical location of the insurance company is not a factor. So if the company was not a surplus line carrier, your concerns would need to be addressed by Michigan Department of Insurance. But they are a surplus lines carrier, so who do they need to be? Right? Then who does it have to go to? Department records indicate that the above referenced company is a surplus line carrier. Well, you're going to have to prove it to me. I don't know that they are. So I've asked them, well, send me those records. Right? Department records indicate that the above referenced company is a surplus line carrier. Therefore, the department does not have jurisdiction over the company's activities. This does not prevent you from seeking a remedy through other means, including additional appeal procedures that may be available through the legal system. Well, thanks, Robin. I'm going to just appeal you first and say, well, then, if you're saying that it indicates it, prove it to me. Because I can't find anything on Illinois that shows that they're registered with Illinois. Right? And it says they're supposed to. Are required to register with the Department of Insurance, or they're not required to follow any of the laws or regulations regarding claims. So fine, then prove to me that this Mount Holly Insurance Company is registered with you, because I can't find it on their website. Anyways, that's all the crap going on. And hey, it's only been an hour and 45 minutes to go through it all. So, if you can see, if you're still here, I am really trying. And because I'm really trying, I really need you to donate, because I ain't got it to pay yet. Yeah, what happened here? And so if you are still watching and you can, and you are able, and you would please do so, please donate, either by sending something to Robert Allen Retluski at the mailing address of 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, 49341, or through PayPal to robryder@AOL.com. And I hope I hear from you soon. Thank you very much. Have a great day. See you now.